Welcome everybody, TennesseeRedStar. So we're going to be doing a reading of Lenin's The Dual Power. I'm going to jump into the text. The basic question of every revolution is that of state power. Unless this question is understood, there can be no intelligent participation in the revolution, not to speak of guidance of the revolution. The highly remarkable feature of our revolution is that it has brought about a dual power. This fact must be grasped first and foremost. Unless it is understood, we cannot advance. We must know how to supplement and amend old formulas, for example, those of Bolshevism. For while they have been found to be correct on the whole, their concrete realization has turned out to be different. Nobody previously thought or could have thought of a dual power. What is this dual power? Alongside the provisional government, the government of the bourgeoisie, another government has arisen, so far weak and insipid, but undoubtedly a government that actually exists and is growing, the Soviet of Workers and Soldiers Deputies. What is the class composition of this other government? It consists of the proletariat and the peasants in soldiers' uniforms. What is the political nature of this government? It is a revolutionary dictatorship, i.e., a power directly based on revolutionary seizure, on the direct initiative of the people from below, and not on a law enacted by a centralized state power. It is an entirely different kind of power from the one that generally exists in the parliamentary, bourgeois democratic republics of the usual type, still prevailing in the advanced countries of Europe and America. This circumstance is often overlooked, often is not given enough thought, yet it is the crux of the matter. This power is of the same type as the Paris Commune of 1871. Fundamental characteristics of this type are: the source of power is not a law previously discussed and acted by Parliament, but the direct initiative of the people from below in their local areas, direct seizure, to use a current expression, the replacement of the police and the army, which are institutions divorced from the people and set against the people, by the direct arming of the whole people. Order in the state under such a power is maintained by the armed workers and peasants themselves, by the armed people themselves. Officialdom, the bureaucracy, are either similarly replaced by the direct rule of the people themselves, or at least placed under special control. They not only become elected officials, but are also subjected to recall at the people's first demand. They are reduced to the position of simple agents from a privileged group holding jobs remunerated on a high bourgeois scale. They become workers of a special arm of the service whose remuneration does not exceed the ordinary pay of a competent worker. This and this alone constitutes the essence of the Paris Commune as a special type of state. This essence has been forgotten or perverted by the Plekhanovs, downright chauvinists who have betrayed Marxism, the Kautskys, the men of the center, i.e. those who vacillate between chauvinism and Marxism, and generally by all those social democrats, socialist revolutionaries, etc., who now rule the roost. They are trying to get away with empty phrases, evasions, subterfuges. They congratulate each other 1,000 times upon the revolution, but refuse to consider what the Soviet of Workers and Soldiers Deputies are. They refuse to recognize the obvious truth that inasmuch as these Soviets exist, inasmuch as they are a power, we have in Russia a state of the type of the Paris Commune. I have emphasized the words inasmuch as, for it is only an incipient power. By direct agreement with the bourgeois provisional government and by a series of actual concessions, it has itself surrendered and is surrendering its positions to the bourgeoisie. Why? Is it because Chikazda, Stureli, Steklov, and company are making a mistake? Nonsense. Only a Philistine can think so, not a Marxist. Is the reason is insufficient class consciousness and organization of the proletarians and peasants. The mistake of the leaders I have named lies in their petty bourgeois position. In fact, that instead of clarifying the minds of the workers, they are befogging them. Instead of dispelling petty bourgeois illusions, they are instilling them. Instead of freeing the people from bourgeois influence, they are strengthening that influence. Now, I want you, quick comment. I want you to think if this sounds familiar to anything you see today. I know this tickling your brain somewhere. I don't want to sound condescending, and I hope I don't when I say this, but I know this is tickling some of your brains. Some of you who are listening to this, I know this is tickling a part of your brain that's making you think about certain people when you hear that. Anyway, I'll let you figure that out on your own. But anyway, back to the text. It should be clear from this why our comrades too make so many mistakes when putting the question simply, should the provisional government be overthrown immediately? My answer is it should be overthrown, for it is an oligarchic bourgeois and not a people's government, and is unable to provide peace, bread, or full freedom. It cannot be overthrown just now, for it is being kept in power by direct and indirect and a formal and actual agreement with the Soviet of Workers' Deputies, and primarily with the Chief Soviet, the Petrograph Soviet. Generally, it cannot be overthrown in the ordinary way, for it rests on the support given to the bourgeoisie by the second government, the Soviet of Workers' Deputies, and that government is only possible revolutionary government, which directly expresses the mind and will of the majority of workers and peasants. Humanity has not yet evolved, and we do not as yet know a type of government superior to and better than the Soviet of Workers, agricultural laborers, peasants, and soldiers' deputies. To become a power, the class-conscious workers must win the majority to their side. As long as no evidence is used against the people, there is no other road to power. We are not Blanquists. We do not stand for the seizure of power by a minority. We are Marxists. For a proletarian class struggle against petty bourgeois intoxication, against chauvinism, defensism, phase-mongering, and dependence on the bourgeoisie. Let us create a proletarian communist party. Its elements have already been created by the best adherents of Bolshevism. Let us rally our ranks for proletarian class work, and larger numbers from among the proletarians. From among the poorest peasants will arrange themselves on our side. For actual experience will from day to day shatter the petty bourgeois illusions of those social democrats, the Chkdayas, the Strelis, and the Steklovs, and others, as the socialist revolutionaries, the petty bourgeois of an even purer water, and so on and so forth. The bourgeoisie stands for undivided power of the bourgeoisie. The class-conscious workers stand for the undivided power of the Soviets of Workers, agricultural laborers, peasants, and soldiers' deputies. For undivided power, made possible not by adventurous acts, but by clarifying proletarian minds, by emancipating them from the influence of the bourgeoisie, the petty bourgeoisie, social democrats, socialist revolutionaries, etc., vacillate, and thereby hinder this clarification and emancipation. This is the class alignment of forces that determines our tasks. And that's the end of the text. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know how you would apply this to a modern contemporary context, and I will see y'all in the next video. I think dual power is a conversation worth continuing to have, especially in this time as we're seeing that we can't rely on the state and in situations where we normally would need to. I mean, by the time as I'm recording this, in like 2 weeks, people are gonna lose access to SNAP benefits. People who need those benefits are gonna lose access to SNAP benefits. Tons of important sectors have been absolutely the austerity, the social safety nets being gutted to fund things like the ICE raids, to fund things like the new ballroom, to fund things like new wars. Social safety nets are being gutted, and there's just mass austerity. So yeah, dual power is absolutely an important conversation that's very much worth having. Let me know what y'all think. We can continue this. We can continue this discussion in the comments and possibly even a live stream. And I'll see you on the next video. Until next time.